head into my debate as far as the improvement of this entire syllabus of the Arabic schools is concerned, let me also break it down for your benefit. What is the difference between the madrasas and the Arabic schools? On the left side of your screens, you can see there is the madrasas, and on the right side is the Arabic schools. Now, the madrasas more importantly function as private institutions, while Arabic schools specialize in teaching Arabic language. The madrasas are affiliated to the charity or the Waqf board. On the other hand, the Arabic schools also teach Urdu, Persian and Kannada. Madrasas mostly focus on religious teachings. Mind you, this is a very important aspect. And Arabic schools, their curriculum is in tandem with the Middle East. Remember, students later on, pass outs of Arabic schools, they aim for jobs in the Middle East. Madrasas have introduced modern subjects as well. That is what the madrasas claim. The Arabic schools, the motive is to get jobs in Arab nations. This is the most crucial aspect, which is also being negated by the BJP in Karnataka. And that is why I am now posing the question to you, my viewers, and my guests on the show. Karnataka regulating Arabic schools, is this going to be called improving or imposing? That is the question I'm posing to my guests as well. And on that note, let me introduce my guests today. I'm joined in by Mr. Vijay Prasad, who is the spokesperson of Karnataka BJP, M. Arivalagan, who is the spokesperson of the JDS, Ms. Aishwarya Mahadev, who is the spokesperson of the Congress Party, and Tausif Ahmed Khan, who is an advocate and political analyst. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining my show today. Now, Mr. Prasad, if I could begin with you, what are the problematic aspects of the Karnataka Education Board's survey findings on Arabic schools?
Thanks, Akanksha. See, this is not a problematic survey that, as you mentioned. See,
no, the survey is not problematic, sir. But what are the findings that seem to be problematic, which is why the Education Minister wants to make changes?
Okay. See, if we could compare whatever the survey that the Education Department has done. So, the schools, the madrasas schools, the Arabic schools, the students there, they are not on par with the students of the other schools. Their teaching is not on par with the other schools. But as far as the curriculum is concerned, it is not as per the prescribed by the Education Department. So, having said that, there are a number of complaints that was received by the Education Department saying that the parents want their student, want the children to study.
And that's exactly what I want. I'm sorry, I'm interjecting, but that is exactly what I want to find out. Why is it that you say that that curriculum is not at par with other schools? Or
No, we all know. We all know what is taught in the Arabic school or in the madrasa school.
No, I'd like you to expand.
We want the Education Department's whole criteria is to bring these children also on par with the students of the other schools, non-Arabic schools, and bring them into the mainstream. That is the only concern, and that is the main tenets of the Education Department.
But Mr. Prasad, you're not answering my question. What is it? What are those aspects of those of the teachings in Arabic schools that are not at par with other schools? It's very important to particularly highlight those aspects. Why aren't you answering my question?
No. See, I'm coming to the point here. So, if we go to the Arabic schools, what is taught there? The main preference is given for the Arabic and the religious things there. But have they at any point of time given the preference for math, science, and computer science? No, that is not given. And this is exactly why the parents have come back to the Education Department, and they have complained to the Education Department saying that even our kids should be taught math, science, and other topics on par with other students. And they're not in a position to compete with when they come to the mainstream. Are they getting jobs or are they getting to come to the mainstream? That is the simple question.
It's interesting that you mentioned that the parents of these students have also stepped up and, rather stepped outside and
So
come
this is the
and
main. This is the
complain.
only reason the survey has been conducted, and let us not paint a different picture
No, no,
when
nobody's
this
painting a
surveys
different
are
picture.
conducted. The surveys are
Nobody.
conducted only from the benefits of the students' point of view, and not nothing else.
All right, Aishwarya Mahadev, if I could bring you in on this, do you think that students of Arabic schools are not at par with students of other schools?
Good evening, Akanksha. I think first and foremost, with this idea of a state, I think education is a foremost priority, and anything that the government does as a positive improvement towards education has to be appreciated. But let me give you some context. The Department of Education and the minister a few months ago spoke about surveying madrasas, and now they're talking about surveying Arabic schools. Yes, a lot of the clerics themselves have come out and said, yes, please do examine, see how we can mainstream. I do agree, a lot of parents have also said, things such as science and math should have focus. And I believe a quality, well rounded education, irrespective of the medium of instruction, whichever language it is something that is state and private entities providing education should prioritize. And I believe that if the state believes that they want to mainstream it, bring it forth, bring it into the modern era as they've been calling it,
Right.
well. But let me put out some very important things along with this. I think it is also about a prioritization of schooling as a whole in my state. Because let me give you certain examples. Government school kids, because of COVID, are a year and a half on
Right.
learning levels. They're behind because of that. The infrastructure is so abysmal, and the government had no funds that they asked for the parents to pay 100 rupees in government schools every month for maintenance and infrastructure and upgradation of infrastructure. And after a hue and cry from the citizenry, did the government withdraw it? 1 second, sir, I didn't interrupt you. I agreed it was withdrawn. Second thing is the disparity between the digital divide was never answered. You saw that the government school children never got their shoes. You saw the drama with the textbooks that happened in my state. And I think when Mr. B.C. Nagesh talks about mainstreaming linguistic schools that may or may not have certain communities that are obviously proponents of that education system, he should also focus on providing all the children in my state a quality education. I'm saying wonderful, you go ahead with your Arabic school survey, your madrasa survey, whichever
Okay,
survey.
okay, let's have Vijay Prasad come in on this. Mr. Prasad, what is it that you'd like to say?
No. See, after hearing what the Congress spokesperson said, let us stick to the survey here. So, okay, the main intention of the department, the education department, is to provide a quality education to all the students, irrespective of which schools they come from, which schools they study, which school and what they study. Okay, the idea is to bring these students on par when they come out of the education institutions, competent enough to face the world and stand on their own legs and face the career.
Okay,
That is the only intention
Mr.
here. We all see. Let us not, as I said earlier, let us not paint a different picture as far as the survey is concerned. We have the
Mr.
survey
Prasad, one
is
has to
limited
also keep the timing of this announcement in mind. We all know that Karnataka's education department has been under the scanner for a lot of allegations and controversies. Having said that, I'm going to bring in Mr. Arivalagan of the JDS, who's been very patiently awaiting his turn. I want to ask you, how do you see this entire move? Is this about course correction, or as Aishwarya was pointing out, it's also about mainstreaming linguistic schools? But the point is, how do you view the timing of this entire move? We've seen a host of allegations follow Karnataka's education ministry. How do you see the timing of this move?
No, exactly to say about this education policy, clearly it indicates, and you could have been seen that the Education Minister of Karnataka, Nagesh, has taken a U-turn about 2-3 days back when he was telling about survey on madrasas as well Arabic school, which has been implemented in Uttar Pradesh. Same, we want to implement it here in Karnataka. But one thing is very clear, we welcome the move. Why? Because a government which makes survey, that is for the benefit of the people, no doubt in that. But one thing, the question here arises is, what they were doing so many days? They didn't get any complaint from madrasas or some other Arabic schools so many days. So now election is twice the corner. See, it is very clear, we are telling that we support that. But reality, we want to know exactly what is happening here. And here what happens exactly means the state government, when they have so much concern for Arabic, as well as so much concern for madrasas. Even their concern also should be towards the minority people, which is not happening in this ruling government. Minority people, minority means I'm not saying only Islamic, minority about Christianity, even Tamil speaking people,
All right,
Telugu
but
speaking
but
people,
we are talking
all
about
concerned.
but we are talking about the education ministry. The move as far as mainstreaming these Arabic schools is concerned. Let's also focus more on the education ministry's move at the moment. But having said that, Tausif Ahmed Khan, if I could bring you in on this, why do you agree with what Karnataka's education minister is saying, that the fact that students of Arabic schools are unable to catch up with students from other schools? Is that true? And is that hampering their future specifically in this country? Because there's also the information that the curriculum there is more targeting to getting jobs in Arab world.
You see, Karnataka board and their education policies have always been debatable. We cannot forget that in class 8, a textbook was inserted which taught that Savarkar used to fly
but that's
out of cellular
saffronization.
cell
Let's not
in,
mix.
in
Let's
Bulbul.
not mix.
Yes,
not
no,
mix.
this was happened.
Right now, what we are talking about is not
Let us not mix that.
saffronization.
Let us not
You are mixing the issues over
you are
here,
mixing the
Taufeeq.
two issues.
Now
You are
you
mixing the two issues.
see right now we are talking about Arabic language, which is more like a development of a skill, is like a skill development which enables the students to get a job in Gulf countries, and it is a fundamental right of every Indian citizen to earn their livelihood and to get education. And if it requires them to learn the language, then government must frame policies to help them. Now, whether the education minister's statement is given in what light, what are their intention, whether they want to get some kind of political mileage, or they truly want to bring some development, and they only know, the education minister himself knows what report he has, where is the lacuna, what more can the government do to help these
Vijay
students
Prasad, what
Arabic?
would you like to say?
See, Akanksha, categorically, I want to say that we know there are around 600 registered madrasas. Okay, these does not come under the education department's purview, but they come under the Karnataka State Board of Waqf. Okay, even the Muslim clerics, they have welcomed the survey of the madrasas. The point of the survey is to fix the anomaly. Wherever the mainstream subjects like maths, science, and computer science and other subjects are not taught. Okay, the idea of the survey is just to fix the anomaly, nothing else. So the idea of the education
Vijay
department,
Prasad, many would want to know that then why not follow what the UP government is doing? They are targeting all the madrasas. And while I do understand that yes, the madrasas in Karnataka come under Karnataka's Waqf board, having said that, why not also aim at serving all the madrasas as well?
No. See, when I'm talking about the madrasas, I am talking about all the 600 madrasas in Karnataka. Okay.
Right.
Let us not bring in the UP model here. See, let us.
But the parallels are already being drawn. Parallels are already being drawn. Both are BJP ruled states. Parallels are bound to be drawn.
No. See, Akanksha, all the madrasas across the country are one and the same. See, here we are talking about the survey of the madrasas in Karnataka. Let us stick to these 600 madrasas that are in Karnataka, and let us correct our state first, right? Instead of going and copying the other states what they have done. We might at some point of time benchmark that. But as far as the Karnataka is concerned, we are more concerned about bringing these students into the mainstream rather than painting a different picture when these services are conducted.
All right, Aishwarya would like to come in on that. Aishwarya, you have something to say. All right, you've made your point. Aishwarya, please go ahead.
You know, Akanksha, I don't know if Mr. Vijay came into this debate expecting a confrontation because he seems to be justifying things that are not even part of this debate. But very simply, he keeps talking about this idea of mainstreaming. He keeps talking about the idea that these 600 madrasas and Arabic schools obviously need to be mainstreamed and whatnot. Let us keep the timing of this move aside because my state is going to elections. That let's assume that there's no relation to that whatsoever. Now, the question I ask is, if you want to mainstream these children, what are you mainstreaming them to? There are abysmal learning outcomes in the government schools, and a predominant majority of my state's children end up going to government schools and higher education institutes that are subsidized by the government predominantly. Whether it was COVID, whether it is learning outcomes, whether it is infrastructure, we're saying, why are you singularly having surveys and focusing on one section of mainstreaming while the mainstream itself is so problematic? Mr. Nagesh has been going after Arabic schools and madrasas, but if he had the same enthusiasm to improve, even the textbook issue, for example, if we had the same enthusiasm to improve the quality of learning outcomes, the quality of infrastructure for the government school children and the predominant children who go to school today, who majority of whom come from underserved communities, wouldn't that be better for the government and for the people of this state? He talks about don't give an agenda to it. I'm not talking about your agenda. I'm saying your priority is misplaced. You want to mainstream people into a fractured system. And that is the problem that the BJP is refusing to address right now. For me, a quality education, irrespective of language and vocation, is more important than having these stigmatizing notions of this education is better than
Tausif, all right.
No.
40 Akanksha in my state.
Tausif, I'd like to bring you in on this, that these Arabic schools, which are over 200 in number in Karnataka, help in getting students jobs in Arab nations. Now, many Muslims in India are also saying, so what if they do get jobs in Arab nations? Should it be seen as a problem in a country where unemployment continues to be a problem?
No, let us first be very clear that it's not only the Muslims who get job in Gulf countries,
All right.
but there are other people of other
Right.
religion from India
Fair
who are
enough,
there.
fair
For
enough.
example, let me give you a number. In UAE, 9,10,000 Hindus. In Qatar, 3,60,000 Hindus. In Bahrain, 2,40,000. In Kuwait, 6,30,000. In Oman, 6,50,000. And in Saudi, 3,70,000. So there's a huge number of Indian diaspora, or if you want to categorize them in terms of religion, yes, there are so many Hindus working in Gulf countries. So why should anyone, look at this from the spectacle of, religion? Now, this is a skill acquiring centers, these institutes imparting education on Arabic. It is open to all, and I'm sure no one can today show that the admissions in these institutes are only limited to Muslims. I'm sure anyone in the panel cannot show that. So it is open to all. Anyone is open to come and get the skills and get a job. It helps them to earn their livelihood.
Mr. Arivalagan, you heard what Tausif has to say, but the other question that's also coming to mind is, why shouldn't the government have a say for institutions that are running on government aid? Especially in this case, as far as Arabic schools are concerned, they come under the state education department. So why shouldn't the state have a say?
It is very clear. The Arabic schools also, as a concern of 600 schools under WAF board, out of which 200 schools
those are madrasas. Those are madrasas. Mr. Arivalagan.
No, from 600, 200 schools are one which are teaching Arabic, along with the science and maths also. Even they are writing public exam, nothing wrong in that.
Right.
Now, my concern is why actually BJP government is doing such a survey. Whether it is going to benefit any minority people now, it's not going to benefit at all. Why? Because it's very clear what they are doing about. Now, whenever election is towards the corner, they want
Vijay Prasad, let him finish.
They want to bring all play cards. They want to prove everything else wrong to the people, and to get one section of the people into what they want, the one section people of the vote to be converted to BJP. They are getting almost all, they are succeeding in that. Now, the survey which have been conducted for welfare of minority people, minority students, we heartily welcome, but it is not going to happen. Why? Because the system which is followed now in India, and you will be knowing that national curriculum activity towards the education, it is only the wrong. And moreover, you will be knowing that almost all the textbook, especially in social science, every history has been removed. If that
Vijay
is happening,
Prasad,
what
now
Yes.
I'd like
No.
you to come in on
are going
this.
to be
Yes,
our
Mr.
Arabic
See,
students?
Arivalagan, you've
Now,
spoken.
what
Let
they
Vijay
are going to
no.
do
Prasad.
for
See,
Arabic
I
students
heard
and
what
minority people?
Okay.
I heard. I
Okay.
heard what JDS spokesman was telling. It is mostly irrelevant in the context. See, when we talk about the Arabic schools, who is funding these Arabic schools? It is the state government who is funding this. State government who is funding these Arabic schools. That
Not
means
all the Arabic schools,
does
few
the
Arabic
state
schools.
government is
It is
not
an aided
interested
condition.
in knowing what subjects are being taught in those schools? Is state government not concerned about the quality of education that has been taught in these schools? Why do these people have a problem? Whenever this kind of survey is taken, who is painting a different picture? It
Vijay
is the
Prasad,
Congress and
as
it
I
is the
pointed out
JDS
No, no,
earlier,
members.
that
great
fingers
gentlemen. Can
will
you
be
tell me what is
raised.
the other
No,
survey which have been made on education department and all schools and
No,
colleges?
this is
Did
the
they do
kind of
any
different
survey?
picture,
Did they do any
different
survey?
picture.
What is the necessity of doing it?
Parties try to paint. Okay, when these schools are funded by the state government, it is the state government's responsibility to make sure that quality education, as per the syllabus prescribed by the state education department, is taught in these schools as well. It is not just the non-Arabic schools who just follow the rules and regulations. The rules and regulations is meant for all the schools, irrespective whether it is the non-Arabic or the Arabic schools. This is the intent of the government is to fix the anomaly through the survey, and wherever in whichever the Arabic schools, the mainstream subjects like math, science, and computer science are not taught, we will have to fix the anomaly through this survey. That's all. That's all. There is no more. There is no less.
all
That's
right.
it.
Aishwarya, if Christians have long created their own educational institutions of excellence, there's also the thought that comes to mind that why can't Muslims come up with their own institutions of world-class education, especially when it comes to Arabic schools?
You know, Akanksha, one thing
And
is I
that's a
think
question I'll take from Tausif as well.
Akanksha, first and foremost, I think our constitution guarantees minorities the right, a constitutional right to also have their own educational institutions. While I also concede and agree that the state does have a certain amount of oversight over what sort of education is being imparted, especially if they're getting endowments from the state. I have absolutely no problem with it. I have no problem whatsoever with the fact that if you want to have world-class education from a religious denomination, that's perfectly all right as well. I come from a rural place in Mysore, but I had the privilege of going to a convent school, and that is probably the reason that I do have the opportunities I have
Right,
today.
see-
Nobody is standing in way of anybody having quality education. I am saying this exercise today seems like a misplaced priority, because when you're serving Arabic schools and madrasas, go ahead, you're welcome, as long as children get a good quality education that makes them better citizens that can work on a global platform, we accept it. But do the same for all other schools of your own government aided and unaided institutions as well, as what we're asking. That should be the priority of a state government, not signaling out communities to check whether it is Bible studies in schools, whether it is what you can wear, whether it is, ideas of what is served, whether it is eggs as a form of protein in the education system. You're seeing it being colored in my state every day. Your priority has to be, and I will go back to it again and again, a quality education for everybody, irrespective of whether it is a secular education,
Right.
a religious one, or whatever other form it may be.
All
Allow
right.
my children in my state to have a good education. Simple.
Tausif, I'm going to pose the same question to you. Why not create these world-class institutions? As I've also been reading several papers by various Muslim intellectuals who are saying that why not have institutes which also attract a global sort of following when it comes to students, and in India specifically, why can't we have institutions where you have Hindus, you have Sikhs, you have Parsis, various other communities join in as well?
You see, very sadly, in India, these educational institutions have suffered due to bad policies by the government
Right.
or
So
the
what
inability.
defines the deficit of education and development when it comes to the Muslim children?
I'll give you an example from the practical life, from my own experience that I have seen here in Kolkata. And a minority educational institute can be established by members of Society of Minorities, and a college was established. And I'm telling you from my personal experience, 10 years ago, the government changed. Somehow, the government did not give the recognition. After which the college pursued the matter went to the Supreme Court, and for one or the other reason, the institution is suffering because either the government has not given adequate number of officers to the minority ministry at the center level or at the state level. So even if the people, they have right under Article 29 and Article 13 of the Constitution to establish their own minority education, and this, mind you, is not only on the basis of minority in terms of religion, but also in terms of language.
Right.
Even in terms of linguistic minority, people can establish their education and run it.
Mr. Arrivalagan.
But the political will, the will from the government is lacking. If people take initiative, then the government also must take a step and help the member of the civil society to run these educational institutions and help them make this world-class institutes where people from abroad can come and take education.
Right.
What is stopping them? Only
I'm running short of time. I have
will.
to give my other guests also time to speak up. Mr. Arrivalagan, if I could have your closing thoughts on this, because we've also heard from various Muslim clerics, including one Shahi cleric of Bengaluru, who said that no, we do have maths, we do have computers and science in Arabic schools as well. I don't understand why much ado about nothing then. Is this a case of much ado about nothing?
Our party, definitely, we welcome these the survey which have been conducted by the school department, as said by central government. We welcome it, but it should be beneficial for minority students. That is the main concern, but that is not going to happen. Why? Because it's very clear they want to implement something else even in that Arabic school also. Maybe the idea of the running the government which is ruling Karnataka maybe in wrong way also. But we are concerned, but wholeheartedly welcome. It is welfare for the minority. We are there to support. But it is not to the welfare of minority, it seems. Why? Because we will be knowing that after BJP have come to power in Karnataka through backdoor, they have shattered almost all minority people to one hand.
Arrivalagan, let us stick to the point, sir.
Right, all right. Vijay Prasad, how does your government intend to do this course correction? Many are asking, is this course correction, or are you only going after Muslim minority institutions of learning?
No. See, that's not the point. The point of this survey is to make sure that the syllabus of the prescribed by the syllabus prescribed by the state education department.
All right, I'm sorry,
also
Vijay Prasad, I'm running short of time, but as you said that there's going to be a syllabus being prescribed, I'm sure Mr. Nagesh will have to come out and exactly highlight what that syllabus is going to look like. Now, on that note, many thanks to you, Aishwarya, and my other guests who are joining me on this discussion today. Up next is Plain Speak with Shivani.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today took the divisive forces within the country head-on at the Chintan Shivar of state home ministers and polices and asserted that Naxalism in all its forms has to be eliminated to strengthen internal security of the country. The Prime Minister warned the nation about all forms of Naxalism, including intellectual Naxals who hold the pen and try to mislead the younger generation. While the PM this time didn't explicitly use the term urban Naxals, the threat he